Hey guys, Jason with CB Customs. So, back on the Hallmark Truck 56 International. If you guys are following it or this first video you're seeing of it, make sure you hit the buttons and all that stuff so that you can follow the rest of the progress. So, we've had this thing on the community tab as a poll, I guess is what they call it. Everybody gets to vote on what engine they want to see in it. Today we're going to talk about what won. And we're going to talk about the horsepower ratings, torque ratings, compared to the transmission and what the transmission can handle and why we chose that transmission. We're going to take a look at all that stuff. We're going to get everything together. Got an adapter plate figured out because that's another weird thing. You always got to figure out how to get the transmission to the engine. And yeah, let's go over the numbers. Okay guys, so we're going to start with the transmission. Yeah, my dry erase board's, it's an old ambulance hood. It works for me, but I want to make sure you guys kind of see all the numbers and what we're working with. First thing, we decided on the T5. We're going to use the T5. Came out of an 86 Mustang with a V8. I had to run the tag to find out what its overdrive number was, and that's important because I want to make sure that this truck can do 70. We're in California. 70 miles an hour is a really big deal for us. So this transmission, its overdrive is a 0.68, which means it's 32% over. That means when your main shaft's running at 1-to-1 with the engine, the output shaft is turning 32% more than one revolution. Every one revolution, it's going one revolution plus 32%. So, and that's important when we get to the other side over here when we're doing our gear ratio calculator to find out what RPM we're going to hit what mileage. Okay, so we've got 32% over. This transmission was a WC. The WC stands for World Class. Don't know if that really means much, but there are a few things. So on 1, 2, and 3, those are gears. First, second, and third gear, they improved the bearings. They went to a tapered instead of a cylindrical roller bearing style. They also did the same thing to the main countershaft. So the WC is actually, it's a solid transmission. They put these things to V8s. This Mustang was a V8 car. So it's going to hold the horsepower and torque of what we're actually putting in it. And we're going to go over that when we finish going over the tranny. So let's take a look at the other side. Okay guys, look, it's hot. It's like 110 out here. It's like supposed to be 112 tomorrow. So bear with me. Every time I wipe my head, I get grease on my face, and it's rough out here. But first off, on the T5, so the engine power band that for the engine we're putting in, we're going to go over the engine after we finish the tranny. But it's important to know that our power band is between 1800 and 2200. Now the engine can wind up a lot more. It can hit about 3000, and that's all fine. But this is where the engine is the most efficient. And we're trying to make sure this thing's going to do 70 down the highway. Okay, so let me get you over here a little more. I tried to write all this stuff out. I really hope it's not backwards. If it's backwards, you guys just got to believe me on the numbers. So the axles we're putting in, they're either 356s or they're 410s. I don't know yet, and I don't really care. We're going to open up the axles. I just needed to make sure we knew where we were at as we go. Okay, so our goal for wheels and tires, we want to put a 32-inch tire on. A good off-road looking, maybe kind of military looking. So if our axles are 356 and our RPM is 1800, we'll be doing 70 miles an hour. If our axles are 410 gears, then we'll only be doing 61 at 1800. Now, when I did a little more math on the 410s, we'd have to go 2,000, that's over here. So 2,050 RPMs to hit the 70. But remember, our power band is 18 to 2200. So that still gives us a little over 70, which nobody actually goes the speed limit, right? You probably do 75. You want to make sure you're comfortable. Now with the 356s at that number, we're doing 80. So what this comes down to, let me get you guys so we can see it. Honestly, I'm hoping that we actually have the 410 gears. Not sure if it's going to be better for fuel mileage or not, but it keeps me more in my power band. But both gear ratios, regardless of what it is going to work. Now, we've already talked about the axles we're putting in, which, again, those axles, you guys don't even understand. I've been trying to find out what they came out of. So it's a Chrysler 9 3/4 and a Dana 44. They both have 5 on 4 1/4 bolt pattern. They came out of the same vehicle, and I don't know what vehicle they came out of. So it's making it hard to find parts. The problem is they're actually the perfect axle for this truck because I can use the half-ton wheels and keep the hubcaps. So I need the 5 on 4 1/4, which is very hard to find in a half-ton pickup or half-ton axles. So I don't know. If anybody knows what those axles came out of, please let me know. But yeah, so let's get to the engine. I know you guys are wanting to know what engine we're going to use, and all this stuff will make sense in just a second. Okay, guys, so the moment of truth. What won? We had like 64% of people vote for the Mercedes 3.0 5-cylinder all-mechanical diesel. I really like it. I'm not upset. But let's talk about the engine and how we're going to get it to do what we want it to do. Okay, first off, Mercedes 3.0. It's a 5-cylinder OM 617 turbocharged diesel. Compression ratio 21.1. That seems unbelievable to me. If that number's not right, somebody let me know what the heck's going on, because I looked, and every time I kept coming up with a crazy compression ratio like that, it seems like that would just blow the head right off. That's got to be wrong. So let me know. There's actually another number that has got to be wrong too, and we'll get over here to this. So I'm just going to bring you guys over here. Okay, so this engine, its horsepower rating said 119. Now, I was on a couple different sites. This number actually came off of Wikipedia, which everybody knows that's 100% right? Whatever. But it said 119 at 4,350 RPM. I would think that engine would just completely come apart at that RPM. That cannot be right. Again, you Mercedes guys, let me know about it. I mean, you ain't got to fight me about it, but tell me, because something's not right here. Our torque, that seems achievable. So 170 foot-pounds of torque at 2,400 RPM. Now this is on a factory, just brand new motor. So that seems okay. And then the range of horsepower and torque, 79 to 227, and torque 124 to 184. Now the reason this is important is because the transmission that I'm going to mate it to, I have to make sure that this engine's not going to tear it apart. Luckily, there's no way that's going to happen. So, hang on. So the last thing on the transmission, the T5 was rated for 450 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque. So, no matter what we really do to that engine, I don't think we're going to achieve these numbers. I believe we're well within our range, or that transmission is well within the range to handle this engine. So I'm not worried about it. Now, guys have been putting these engines in Jeeps and Toyotas, and I mean, you name it. They put them in a lot of different things. The T5 came in the Jeep. Like, it's pretty much just rated for that. Now, the Mercedes diesel we're going to run came out of a 1980, so it did have an EGR. Probably one of the first things we're going to do is just get rid of that EGR because it's in a 1956. It's not... it doesn't have to be EPA compliant is really the big deal. So, Mercedes Diesel 1, guys. That's what we're going to do. Now, the next big thing and the other thing we're going to talk about before the video's over is how we're going to put these two engines together. Okay? A little bit of a complication. So, I found a company that does make an adapter for the T5 to a Ford bell housing. The problem is they're out of stock. And with what's going on right now in the world, everybody knows what I'm talking about. I don't have to go into it. I don't know when they're going to make another one. But they do have other options because, like I said, this is a very popular Jeep upgrade to get the AMC adapter. So we can get the Mercedes to the AMC, which is, AMC is American Motor Corporation. It's a Jeep thing. I have a lot of bell housings. Let's go take a look. Okay, there's our T5. Oh, and you can see the Dodge in the background. We're going to get that thing together. Actually, the reason I'm trying to get this video done is I need to get this stuff off this bench because we're going to start putting that engine together. Everything came back from the machine shop. So if you guys are interested in that, we'll get that video up. But T5 right here. So this T5, again, came off of an 86. So it came off of a small block Ford V8. Obviously, if you guys are gearheads, you know that's a small block Ford V8. What I got right here are AMC bell housings. When I started doing what I do, I actually started with Jeeps. I did a lot of Jeep stuff. So my goal, and the reason I've got this one separate is I actually believe this one came off of a T5, which means it should bolt right up. Now there's a few things we got to check. The diameter here and all that crap. Also the height versus the height here, because there's a chance we'll have to cut down the pilot bearing shaft on the output shaft. The throwout bearing fork is going to work a little bit differently, but that's the goal. So what we're going to do is get an adapter for an AMC to the Mercedes. We're going to use an AMC bell housing once we confirm that works. And we're going to put it to our T5, and we're going to pull the small block Ford bell housing off. So we'll see if it works. Okay, so good news first. See that little indentation right here? This bearing cap. Timken bearing. Well, that's pretty cool. You look right here. This is our AMC bell housing. It's that same indentation. So this did come off of a T5. Now, what I found out is the pilot hole is about 500 thousandths off. In that this is 500 thousandths smaller than this one was. So there are a couple different options. So what we can do is we can put this in the mill, we can mill it up, and we can ream it out 500 thousandths. We could take a hone and hone it out 500 thousandths. It's just got to be even. Because it's only 500 thousandths, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take our pilot shaft off. We're going to put this in the lathe, and we're going to turn this down 500 thousandths until it fits in this hole, and then we're fine. Now, the last thing, I'll grab the tape so you guys can see it, is the height of the two bell housings, so we know we're still in range. Boy, the sun is getting bright. So all I did, the level doesn't really matter. It's more that it's a straight edge. I mean, that's the thing's almost dead on. 7 inches. Let me see if I can get that thing turned around. Yeah, it's about 7 inches. So let's check the other one real quick. Again, we're not worried about a whole lot. It's just a matter of making sure they're about the same size. The funny thing is that's, so it's about 1/4 of an inch difference. That's what I had already measured just for my rough guess. So there's a chance we're going to have to cut this tip 1/4 of an inch. We do it a lot when we're modifying transmissions for Jeeps, so I'm not really worried about it. There's still plenty of shaft here for the pilot bearing. We're just going to have to confirm all that when we put it together. But this thing will work, and that's what we're going to do because I can get the adapter for the AMC and I can't get it for the Ford. Whew! Hey, if you guys are still with me, so we figured out how to do the tranny. It's been a rough day. As you can see, look at all that grease, man. I need to shave too. If you guys are still with me, I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys being interested in this build. We do have another community tab poll coming because we're now done and we've decided on an engine. We're going a certain direction. I can't keep the poll up forever. The next poll is going to be on whether or not we go with bucket seats or reupholster the original. I totally want to hear what you guys have to say about it. You know, vote. It's great. I also did realize some of my friends were asking me, how do you vote on the community tab? All you do is go to my homepage, the CV Customs homepage, and there's a tab that says community. You click on community, you'll see the poll, and you can vote. It's real simple. Just something for you purists out there who are always like, don't change anything, keep it all original. It's not really my style. And that's not me saying I don't want to keep the original seat. I think the original seat might actually look good for this build. I think a bucket seat would look good for this build too. But I build these cars for efficiency and reliability. Yes, I could build an all original that is reliable, not near as efficient as putting some modern stuff in. And I'm not going to let my wife drive it every day to work. I mean, when we finish this truck, it's getting disc brakes, power steering, and power brakes as well. I mean, it's getting all that stuff. I want it to drive like a new vehicle. Again, this has nothing to do with the seat, because an original seat would be fine. But I get a lot of the comments where it's like, oh, keep it all this, don't all original, or don't do that. It's not really my style. But I'm interested in your guys' style, so let me know, and we'll see you guys on the next one.